Yavne, An Introduction. For some, the name is almost mythical. Granted, a modicum of Jewish education or familiarity with Jewish life might be required. But for nearly 2 millennia, the symbol of continuity in the shadow of the national calamity that was the destruction of the Second Temple in Jerusalem was Yavne. The word itself teases us with its inherent potential, Yavne, implying rebirth, reinvention, and renewal. Like the proverbial phoenix rising from its ashes, Yavne was the place that the Jewish people rose again. It never really mattered if the story was meant to be literal or representational. The story of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's harrowing escape from Jerusalem, his meeting with Vespasian, being granted Yavne and her scholars formed the core ethos for a people divorced from its national patrimony. The earthly Yavne faded into the fog of history, and surely suffered to some degree as a result. But the prosaic Yavne, the Yavne of the imagination, became a shining symbol of hope. Like the heavenly Jerusalem, Yavne became a universally accepted Jewish symbol. Kindergartens, schools, yeshivas, synagogues, youth groups and more adopted its hopeful name. In a word, it captured all the future hopes, dreams and aspirations of a people enduring an interminable diaspora. Desperate for transcendent symbols of their past, and eager to cast the future with the best possible shine that would lift all possible aspirations for their children and grandchildren to a more elevated plane, Yavne became the touchstone for everything that the future could be. It wasn't Shangri-La and it wasn't Jerusalem, it was the physical manifestation of a downtrodden people's dream that their unique role in human civilization could become manifest. The light that shone from Yavne was far more than Camelot, it was the light of wisdom that emerged from the study of its Torah, the care of its teachers and sages, and its choice of constructions of the law, rather than the deconstruction of society. It brooked no nostalgic dependence on the past, but was the marvel of an exiled people's commitment to the widow and the orphan. Its messages bore witness to the need for building a healthy society. A society that included all of the essential components that would enable a smooth transition to reforming a national identity when that opportunity would next arrive. Archaeologist Avner Goren may have said it best in noting that the sages of Yavne made Judaism portable. The grand experiment of a diaspora that would endure for nearly 2 millennia was an exercise that no other nation had ever dared to consider, now would have the audacity to succeed. Yavne provided the earliest and most basic tools, a common calendar, prayers, and laws that would become the glue holding the people of Israel together. No matter the distances, no matter the circumstances, the Sabbath, Yom Kippur, and the other holidays would be powerful determinants of commonality for Jewish communities in the Far East, Asia, Europe, Africa, and eventually North America and the world. It was a heavy mantle and stood in stark contrast to the rather pedestrian reality of a sleepy development town in the southwestern coastal plain of modern Israel. To us it came as a shock and a surprise that the Kennedy Center was a rather dilapidated mini-mall at the footsteps of the Tel. Not a sign or word of explanation regarding Yavne's illustrious past. The good people in the area were clueless as to where ancient Yavne could be found. Some regional surveys had taken place. A small number of academics could possibly identify the mound with a tower across the street from the Ben & Jerry's factory. Young tour guide trainees were not brought to this place. Archaeologists at Israel's finest universities ignored its potential. After all, in the centuries before the modern era, the Jews were not famous for producing monumental buildings. Our constructs were the commentaries on the Torah, the Mishnah and the Talmud. These edifices have stood the test of time and endure to this day. In 1996 we went in search of the earthly Yavne. Why wasn't it on anyone's radar screen? We went in search of an idea, and were startled to discover that there was a real Yavne hiding just centimeters below the surface. And since then, in fits and spurts, she has started to reveal her secrets. Yavne is the legacy of the Jewish people. It may not be glamorous, but for those who choose to look, it is shining in all its glory.